Hello, folks. Welcome back to the video series recording a song track by track that I've been doing. This will be the last video in the series. The song is done. I will post a link to the song in the description so you can go listen to the final thing, the final mix and everything. For this last video, I just thought I would go over the Pro Tools session again. I know I've touched on it a little bit before, but go a little bit more in depth on what's been going on and what I've kind of how I approached putting this song together anyway. Many people work different ways, and depending on the song, I might even do something very different. But for this song, I'll just go through the edit window here a little bit on Pro Tools with you. We started with the drums, added some bass, some guitar, some more guitar, and more guitar, then some Moog, and then down here we added the extra, the cheese grater and the little spring thing I had, and then I did vocals. You can see I have 4 tracks of vocals, and then some just audio recording of people talking about the pandemic and quarantine and all of that. And have over here we have a poem at the end that a fellow teacher of mine, Emma, wrote and recited, recorded it and sent it to me, so I dropped it in at the end. So that's sort of the track wise what's going on. As you can see, I muted some stuff, the guitars. I think I talked about it in a different video, but very different sound for the chorus and the verse. So I just did different tracks, processed them differently, recorded sounds differently. So stuff got muted out. Right in here, I think there was this section I actually had another teacher record a solo part, so I muted my parts and added in what they did. We have the Moog. Pretty much, this is chopped up just for volume differences. I can go in and break them up and then turn them down right here, as opposed to in the other window, which we'll get to in a second. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's kind of what this side looks like. Let me switch over to the mix window, and you can see, for some reason it looks like there's so many more tracks in this window than in the edit window, but I'm not sure why that is. It's the same number. You can see I added some processing and stuff, which I talked about a little bit before. There's one I wanted to dive in on just because it's very handy, and I think it's overlooked by a lot of people. A lot of people probably don't even know about it that aren't into recording, but it's called a de-esser. What it does is the frequency that the S sound makes as we're speaking or singing. The S sound usually sticks out. So what the de-esser does is it just grabs that frequency and turns it down every time it hears it. So anytime I'm using the sound S, this will grab onto it, turn it down just a little bit so it's not as obtrusive and doesn't call your attention to it and away from whatever the lyrics are of the singing. So I think that's a cool plugin I just wanted to talk about. So we'll end this video by going over here to the master fader, or the 2-mix they call it. What happens is all these tracks end up running through this fader and this channel right here before the final mix gets processed, and you can put it up wherever you want after it's in a 2-mix. You can, these would all are individual tracks, so that you can't just play them on something. They have to all be put together. So that all happens here. I go through the processing on the master fader for you. It starts with this what's called a virtual mix rack. Essentially, it's excuse me. Essentially, it's a bunch of different plugins for processing you can use. Using this, they call this Hollywood. I'm not sure why. I guess it sounds like Hollywood. It simulates running through a tube console or preamp. Right now I have it on the preamp setting. It just colors it a little bit, saturates the sound a little bit, makes it a little more pleasant, I guess. The EQ here isn't doing much, just a little bump at 200 hertz, not much at all. This is not even in use really. A little bit of compression here, and then this is just to turn down the volume really. The next up we have this 3 different compressors in one plugin that I'm using pretty sparingly. This one's not doing anything really. So it's hitting this compressor a little bit, which does, this compressor in particular I think does a really good job of tightening up the low end frequencies a little bit. And then down here is just another compressor. It's a little less aggressive sounding. And I like this on final mixes. Then we have this tape machine simulator. Again, it just kind of gives it what studio audio people call vibe or warmth. It just kind of makes it sound like it run through a tape, which people love the sound of that. So, it also adds a little low end bump to it, which I kind of like, which I could do with EQ or something as well. But this really does have a nice sound on a mix. And then at the end, last in the chain, I have this mastering plugin that I use sometimes that has a little more EQ. You can run this and it'll kind of check out your mix and tell you what its suggestions are to make this sound better. And then you can tweak it a little bit. This one, for this song, it says it needed a little more low end, a little less of the top end. So, and it does sound better that way, so I left it. This is a dynamic EQ, which is an equalizer, and then a compressor like the de-esser. It takes frequencies and then compresses them so they're not popping out more than other frequencies or more than you want them to. And then this maximizer just kind of makes everything a little bit louder. So I hope you enjoyed all of these videos, including this one. Again, as I said at the beginning, there'll be a link in the description of this video. You can go check out the final song. I think it came out really nice. It was fun for me to get to collaborate with some of my students and some fellow teachers that I have. The song kind of took on a life of its own. I didn't really know what it was going to be when I started it, and I certainly did not expect it to be what it came out to be. So thank you so much for checking these videos out, and hope you learned something from them, or at least found them entertaining. As I always end, stay healthy, stay safe, stay clean, keep your hands clean, and your brains clean, I guess, as well. Thanks again. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day.